Hello everyone, welcome to the week 2 of academic skills and studying with confidence. Here I have provided my academic email. So we are going to cover today, the learning outcome of this session is we are going to use effective search techniques to find reliable and relevant information. At the end of this session, you will be able to understand how to find reliable source of information, identify whether sources are reliable or unreliable, understand the importance of note-taking, learn different note-taking techniques, and take your own notes for the lesson. So let's recap what we learned last week. So we learned about what is this module, what is academic skills, how will you be assessed, how you will be graded, and what are the academic skills, how to distinguish between reliable. Next, we are going to say how to evaluate information sources. So we use prompt to evaluate information source. B starts with presentation, which is about choice of color, choice of font, size, use of language, writing pattern, and layout. Relevance, whether the source is related to the scope of your search or not. Objectivity, whether the information is presented with a balanced perspective, without biasness or not. Method, what kind of methods have you used to collect the data? Primary method, secondary method, what kind of method? Provenance, who produced it, where it come from? Timelessness, when was it produced? Is it obsolete or not? So we use this technique to evaluate the information sources. Next, we discuss about to determine the reliability of online site and the organization by seeing at the URL's ending. So if the site ends in .edu, it's most likely an educational institution. If it ends with .gov, it's most likely a government website. If it ends with .org, it's usually a non-profit organization. So these sources vary in being good or poor sources of information. So students and everyone needs to research their possible agendas and biases if they exist. How to evaluate online journals and magazines. Reliable journals and magazines should contain a bibliography for every article. List sources within that bibliography that can be extensive and should include scholarly and non-internet sources. We have to think, do these sources evidence support articles' focus main idea or not? News sources. Every television and print sources have a website. Be aware, sometimes their focus is to entertain rather than inform. That means to drag your attention, they might put something. It might not be a reliable source. So think of the sources and then evaluate yourself whether the source is reliable or not. Only then use it in your academic assignments. Here, it's going to be a small group activity where the students will be asked to do an assignment on inflation in the UK and list out the sources they're going to use to refer to find the data to do the assignment. And we were going to ask and assess that what made the student consider those sources as reliable. Moving on. So what is note-taking? As we know, note-taking is maybe writing something information that you have heard about so that will help you to assess or to complete your task in the future. That we can consider as note-taking. So basically, it is a systematic approach to process the information presented to you by scanning the main points, noting down for your future reference. However, according to University of Leeds library sources, note-taking is not just about writing down everything you hear or read. It is a process of reviewing, connecting, and synthesizing ideas from your lectures or reading. So why is note-taking important? Because it helps to ensure that you're actively listening to what your teacher is saying. It prevents lack of focus. If you take notes, you will be more focused. It helps you reduce your study time. If you take some notes, when you go back home, or if you look at a week later, you will be able to remember what you studied in that week if you have little notes written in your copy. Notes are useful when preparing for assessments. It can boost your knowledge and skills of the topic. So let's try with an activity. Here it's a small YouTube video which I'm gonna show some points, and student will be able to take some notes. Based on that, we will assess how active listeners our students are. So as part of the discussion, we are going to ask everyone that where they were able to take down all the facts that were mentioned in the video. If they did, how they did. If they did not take all the notes, then why they were not being able to take the notes. Moving on to our second activity. So they will be able to discuss with their colleagues that how can they improve their note-taking skills. So for those students who were not being able to take down all the notes, why were they fail to take those notes? So they can ask those students who took those notes actively, all of them, so that they can discuss among themselves and then improve their note-taking skills. And what methods can they follow to take their notes effectively? Here are a few strategies where they can take notes. Number 1, Cornell method. Number 2, outlining method. Number 3, mapping method. Here is a video of Cornell method. Here is a demonstration of Cornell method, how they can take Cornell method notes. So it's going to be on the left side a Q column, and down a summary to write about the important information you have written. You just summarize those information. And in the mid part on the right side, you can take the note. So here is a demonstration of how students can take the Cornell method note-taking. Cornell method follows 5 R's. 5 R's starts with record, reduce, recite, reflect, and review. Here is another Moodle classroom activity based on the video. Moving forward to outlining method. So basically, outlining method is writing down a main point to the left of the page and indent to the right, and note any supporting ideas below it. Whenever you need to elaborate on a point, indent to the right and start adding new videos below. Repeat. In outline notes, supporting ideas are nested under the point it's related to. You can keep going and create as many layers you need or want. Here is a demonstration of outlining method. You can write title at the top and then the main topic, the subtopic in this indentation method. Moving forward, mapping or web method. So basically, it's a graphical representation to map out the information or ideas or facts or concepts in a comprehensive and cohesive manner. Main points are placed in the center and associated ideas branch off as appropriate. Arrows describe the relationship. Always make sure that the relationship and the order of the ideas is correct. What are the advantages of mapping or web method? Useful for visual learners who struggle with studying from notes, help you remember the connection and relationships between topics and subtopics. So can you take notes without listening? No. You have to be a very active listener to take notes. So how can you listen better? Pay attention to the lecture, not the lecturer only. So you have to pay attention to both the lecture, respond to the changes and developments in the lecture and the lecturer by taking mental notes. Try to listen instead of pretending to listen. Feel free to visualize the method with yourself. Here is another video of taking notes. Here, students will be doing an activity by writing down what they have learned today and the necessity of the note-taking and different methods of note-taking. So recap of the lesson: how to obtain reliable source, how to identify whether sources are reliable or unreliable, why note-taking is important, Cornell note-taking method, outlining note-taking method, mapping note-taking method. Next week, we are going to cover what is academic integrity, what is referencing, what are the importance of referencing, and generate referencing based on APA referencing style. Thank you.